Long ago, a great warrior came to this village and entrusted our ancestors with this. Its power and responsibility now lie with you.
Hello there, everyone. Welcome to the Star Wars Guys YouTube channel where the Force is family. I am Master Paul, and joining me once again is my special guest.
Golgo 13 of Golgo 13's Anime 101.
And this is video number 3 in our series of reviewing all of the episodes of Star Wars Visions. Today's episode we're talking about is The Twins. And wasting no time getting into this one, admittedly, this one's one of the more bottom tier ones for me, just because of how ridiculous it gets as the episode progresses. Now, admittedly, it starts with a pretty interesting premise where you have these two twins that have been born, created by the dark side, and they're both put in charge of this weird double star destroyer thing that has a giant cannon on it. However, one of the twins, the brother, his conscience wakes up and he decides to rebel against the First Order, because apparently this is set in the sequel trilogy. Decides to rebel against the First Order and steals one of the kyber crystals to take away the power to the weapons. And it leads to a very big, and it increasingly gets more and more ridiculous duel between the brother and the sister, where it starts out somewhat believable, where he's being confronted by his sister and the troopers and the walkers, but then suddenly they're in space and they're able to not only have gravity to stand on the ship but breathe in space, and they're having a lightsaber fight in space. She puts a kyber crystal into her suit, which gives her apparently 6 lightsabers, 4 of which can be used as whips. And it all climaxes with the brother standing on his X-Wing, and he launches his X-Wing into light speed with him standing on it, no windshield, no helmet, no nothing. And he's somehow able to take that energy and extend his lightsaber blade into like the size of a football field, and he's able to completely destroy the double Star Destroyer with that. And of course, both of them survive this. So, animation wise, I'll give it this. Animation wise, it's very good, if not my style, but just the sheer amount of insanity that happens in the actual fight of this episode was just too much for me.
This one is unique compared to the rest of them. One, it is set in the sequel trilogy timeline, specifically, Rise of or The Last Jedi and the Rise of Skywalker. It plays within the rules established in those movies, like basically
Yes.
weaponizing going into light speed and other things like being able to survive out in space, like how Leia does. So, within the confines of those rules laid down by Darth Jar Jar, the cinematic Antichrist, and Ruin Johnson, within those rules, this this show flourishes in that specific realm. Now, on the anime side, this one is unique. This is done by Studio Trigger. Studio Trigger is known for taking things, ratcheting them up, keep ratcheting them up, one on top of the other, just more over the top, over the top, over the top. The show that they're most known for is Kill la Kill, and I can tell you, I've watched the first few episodes of it. Right off the bat, they cranked it up to 11, and they didn't let go with any of it. That's what they're known for, and that's what they did with this. Let me give you the rundown. You're starting off with the explanation of the twins. You then have the one that goes to get the kyber crystal. So the first escalation, stormtroopers try to shoot him, pushes the bolts back at him, walks through. Escalation, sister shows up in the hangar while he's trying to get into his X-wing. Why they have, rebel-ish type fighters, who knows, but they have one. So he uses an X-wing. He has his R2 unit go to power it up. She comes with a legion of troops and 2 ATSTs. Escalation. The droid gets his X-wing up and going and shoots him, tries to hit her, deflects off her, bounces into the ATSTs, blows up, shoots some more, kill the troops. He escapes. Escalation again. She gets out onto the ship, I would assume, since she's got a power suit, magnetic boots, but that's neither here or there. Through the Force, holds the X-wing and pulls that kyber crystal out, basically making a hole into the X-wing and pulling him out with it. Escalation. He's there. They're fighting for the control of this kyber crystal when it splits. But the way it splits is the larger piece goes to her, the smaller piece goes to him. Escalation point. She puts the kyber crystal in that power suit because it's designed to absorb and use the power of a kyber crystal. And yes, she has her. Basically, it amplifies her power within the Force and the suit to be able to do things like an extra set of arms, basically giving her 6 arms, 6 sabers, but 4 of those sabers not being actual true sabers, they're able to adapt to her will within the Force. Escalation. Right. He tosses his piece into his modified lightsaber and has the ability to extend it or make the blade longer as needed, longer or shorter. Escalation point. They get to a point where they're about evenly matched. He's running out of ideas. Then she starts to lose control of her ability to maintain the power of the crystal within that suit. So the last resort, the last thing he has to do to get over his sister, because his sister is stronger in the Force. She has the larger kyber crystal. She still has her power suit, which he basically abandoned with the exception of his boots. So that's how I think they did it, is they both have a set of magnetic boots. He gets on his X-wing, thinks of a way to try to destroy that crystal to keep her from dying, and the R2 unit's like, well, let's just jump to light speed. And he's like, no, wait, that's the thing about it. And the droid does it anyways. So he is pushed into her, holding basically on this X-wing tip, as you said, with his lightsaber extended to the exact length that it needs to be. The ship with the standard engines is pushing, trying to break her shielding capabilities. But when the R2 unit throws it into light speed, she can't. And at the moment that the light speed starts, that's when the hold breaks. He's able to adjust his saber to the point where it hits where the kyber crystal is being held without killing her. And then once past her, extends his lightsaber down as far as necessary to slice a Star Destroyer in half. That's the type of stuff that these guys are known for, is taking it to the extreme and then laughing at the extreme and going one above it. From that aspect, this was perfect for them. This is the type of thing that they really like to do. Now, we're back to the fact that it's in the sequel trilogy and playing with sequel trilogy rules. From that aspect, it's hard to get past it. But for me, when I first saw this, I was like, this is dumb. But once I had a few things explained to me, my own senseis within the anime community that I know and trust, once they explained to me the studio, their history, what they do, saw their previous works, it all makes sense. And now that it makes sense, I enjoy the crap out of it, precisely because of how extreme and how crazy it gets. So,
right.
Star Wars side, the base story is good, but of course the action where it leads to is in traditional Star Wars, either regular trilogy, sequel trilogy, Mandoverse, Clone Wars verse, whatever, not plausible. So on that, I'll give it a 3. On the anime side, knowing how everything plays out or how this studio likes to do things, oh yeah, I give it a 5 on that aspect alone. And the animation in total, it's definitely a little more, it's not as realistic as far as how their characters look. It's definitely more of an impressionist type feel, but for me, it works. And I really like it.
And see, you having that anime background and knowing what you know about this studio, would give you a whole different appreciation for this episode that I, just as a Star Wars fan, don't have. And I certainly understand where you're coming from with this, but having never seen Kill la Kill, though hearing you talk about it, I want to check it out. But yeah, having never seen any of this stuff that the studio has done aside from this episode, and just looking at it from the Star Wars, I almost would say this one's my least favorite. It's not bad, but it's definitely my least favorite. I'm going to give it a 2 out of 5 stars.
Yeah.
So
And I can see that.
yeah. So with that, guys, that's where we're going to end this video. So make sure to hit like and subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching. Again, make sure to subscribe to Golgo13's Anime 101. And just remember, everyone, the Force is family. See you guys later.
The Force is family. See you later.